The weaponized drone was flown with no pilots or passengers, just fuel. Near the target, the actual American Airlines Flight 11 made a rapid left 90 and flew east out over the Atlantic, out of sight, while the weaponized drone was filmed hitting the North Tower below the offices of Cantor Fitzgerald's carbon trading unit, Cantor CO2E, killing 658 employees. The Naudet brothers were well positioned to film the drone fly into the target. The first attack of the day was filmed by only one film crew, the Canadian Naudet brothers, during the filming of a documentary. The Naudet's location, a street blocked by 2 fire trucks and a postal truck next to the post office across from the AT&T Communications building, had an unobstructed view of the impact site on the North Tower face. It was also an ideal spot to paint the impact point with a laser. They had in place the spotter, perhaps the mail truck blocking the street, and the weapon was in flight to perform the snuff. Here is their lucky shot. When you examine the videotape, the shooter points his camera dead center on the target, not the weapon, as if knowing exactly where to focus his camera. The Al-Qaeda story was released during the morning to spin the event, followed with pictures of the terrorists and passports planted at the scene, suspiciously and far too convenient an explanation. Later, the Union labor crews hosed the dust into the storm drains, removing and spoliating evidence of the event. In the meantime, Naudet was moving his film crew over to the World Trade Center 7, as if knowing something was going to happen there later in the day. The second Canadian film crew was in New York, filming for the Quebec New York Festival event, and was working with Montreal Brainware. But 1 week later, his footage was being shown as an exclusive by Radio-Canada. Once again, the camera crew location and Canadian crew was in ideal locations to film unobstructed close-up footage of the target being hit. And the air weapon made the same type of radical course change as it neared McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey, where it rendezvoused with its weaponized drone. Its target was the global reinsurance company Aeon Corporation in the second tower, killing 178 employees and its global business, while assuring double occurrence on the World Trade Center insurance policy for maximum payout. But this time, after the weaponized drone was filmed hitting the target, the United Airlines Flight 175 decoy was captured by an independent film crew flying away from the scene. The scene, as filmed by the Canadian film crew, once again does not track the plane as it is flying overhead. Instead, it keeps the camera trained on the impact site. But the independent not only records the decoy flying off, it also records the laser targeting the building face as the airplane seeks its impact point. And when the sequence is analyzed, the shooter is waiting for the plane to meet his pre-identified target spot on the face of Tower 2. Not the building burning in the background. The camera is waiting centered on the impact site. Again, later in the day, the fomented spin, complete with pictures of terrorists on the 4 different flights, present the events of the day as a random terrorist attack by planting passports and other items to support the spin. Later still, the labor unions hosed down the dust of the storm drains, and over the next 8 weeks, moved the evidence to Fresh Kills landfill on Staten Island and onto ships leaving for China and India to smelters, removing and spoliating evidence. On the Pentagon hit, the commercial crew has not come forward or been identified, but footage was removed from several locations once the 4th plane failed to reach its target. But the footprint of the pattern is evident by the event and its operations. Again, the weapon leaves an airport. It makes a radical turn near an Air Force base playing the Global Guardian war game and flies back to target, directly to the Navy wedge of the Pentagon, into the office of Captain DeCanto, talking on the phone to Admiral England. An easy spotter location was across the street, directly facing the impact point, the Navy Annex. This location is ideal for targeting the impact site by the spotter. The shooter could have also been at this location, but several items were confiscated by the FBI, one in particular from the roof of the Sheraton National Hotel directly west of the Navy Annex and overlooking its roof with a clear shot of the impact site on the Navy wedge of the Pentagon. Many claim that a 767 did not hit the wall of the Pentagon, and in this reconstruction, a 767 to scale should have looked like this as it flew across the lawn and into the building. But that is not what the security camera imaged. In fact, an object does skid across the lawn, but nothing the size of a 767, but a weapon nonetheless. After the impact, only one hole was visible on the wall.
All right, I'm here with Michael Kelly, who was a witness to this attack at the Pentagon. I'm going to let him describe what he saw here, I guess about 20 minutes ago. Okay, Michael Kelly. First of all, let me just first describe the scene. This is the west side of the Pentagon, the heliport side off of Washington Boulevard. Were you driving or what?
Yes, I was in the traffic on the 14th Street Bridge, right at the Pentagon, tied up going into town, and I heard this plane come over my head. It was really low.
What size plane?
It sounded like a small plane, but it was very, very low. And the next thing I know, there was this tremendous explosion. As it hit the Pentagon, I looked over, and the smoke started coming up. Pieces of the plane and pieces of the Pentagon were falling onto the 14th Street, onto the Shirley Highway. Very scary. So I decided not to go across.
It might have appeared that way, but from my close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. The only site is the actual side of the building that's crashed in, and as I said, the only pieces left that you can see are small enough that you can pick up in your hand. There are no large tail sections, wing sections, a fuselage, nothing like that anywhere around, which would indicate that the entire plane crashed into the side of the Pentagon and then caused the side to collapse. Now, even though if you look at the pictures of the Pentagon, you see that the floors have all collapsed. That didn't happen immediately. It wasn't until almost about 45 minutes later that the structure was weakened enough that all of the floors collapsed.
Foreground of those videos, again, it's very small pieces. I mean, I'm standing on pieces. My dinner plate was smaller in size. The largest piece I believe I saw was maybe 2 by 3 feet. And it was crumbling. I believe that is the piece that everybody sees with a blue stripe. Well, or it had red feet on it, red logo, red stripe. Again, I didn't dwell on that. There was a lot going on.